Welcome to the very first episode of Let's Spark the Debate. I created this channel to continue what sports fans have done for decades, and that is debate compare who they feel is the best when it comes to NBA players. The goal, keep that conversation going. I want to see how fans feel about the various matchups that I'll be putting forward through each episode. With that being said, let's meet the first contestants. Our first contestant out of Malden High School, the big ticket himself, Kevin Garnett, a player who was the thorn in his opponent's side for years. He's as tough as they come, so you don't want to get on his bad side. His opponent, the quiet yet deadly Tim Duncan out of Wake Forest. The big fundamental, a low post beast, mid-range killer whose reputation speaks for itself. Now let's check out these rules. The rules are simple. A best of 5 matchup where 1 point is given for each of the 5 categories. First to 3 points is declared the winner. The categories include physical attributes, height, weight, durability, total offense, points, assists, field goal percentage, free throw percentage, 3-point percentage, and turnovers, total defense, rebounds, steals, blocks, plus minus and PER, player efficiency rating, and accolades such as NBA titles, MVPs, and defensive MVPs. Now let's get to the first round. Nicknamed the Kid, Kevin Garnett stands at a height of 6'10", 240 pounds, and a slender frame with a wingspan of 7'5". Even with his slight frame, KG prided himself on being a physical presence, making sure his opponents felt him for 48 solid minutes of basketball. Efficient speed in the open court and a vertical leap of 45 inches coming out of high school, he could get to the rim for fierce dunks with relative ease. Playing in a career 1,462 games, he was as durable as they come, with the most games he missed in a single season being just 13. The Stone Buddha, aka Tim Duncan, comes in at a height of 6'11", 250 pounds, slightly bigger than his opponent, though he also has a slender frame. Shorter wingspan coming in at 7'3", he can still effectively reach opponent's shots for slick blocks and also get off his own shot with ease. Tim Duncan played a whole lot closer to the ground with far less athleticism than KG and had to rely heavily on skill rather than athletic ability to be effective. Also a very durable player for most of his career, he was able to play a total of 1,392 games for his career. I'll have to give this first round to KG, who I believe his overall physical presence and athletic ability trumps that of Tim Duncan's. That's not to say that Tim Duncan doesn't have physical presence, but with KG's athleticism, I say he wins this round. Let's get on to some offense. From the low post to the elbow, Tim Duncan was virtually unstoppable in his pursuit for buckets. A master of both backing down opponents and in the face-up game hitting defenders with a flurry of jab steps before kissing the ball off the glass for easy buckets. It's easy to see how he got the nickname the Big Fundamental, being able to utilize some of the game's most basic moves to dominate. Never flustered by the taunts of defenders attempting to say absolutely anything to get him off his game. The only comeback required is more buckets. Now let's check out some of his numbers throughout his career. Timmy D racked up a career high 19 points per game while shooting 51% from the field. Solid from the free throw line, shooting about 70% for his career. He was a decent facilitator for his position, getting in about 3 assists per game. He was able to achieve some godlike numbers over his career, reeling in a career high 53 points on 19 for 24 shooting. Also, with a career high 11 assists, you can see how effective he could be as a playmaker. However, he sometimes got into turnover problems, which was the case when he managed to commit 10 wild turnovers for his career high. Tim Duncan's offensive performance only grew when the playoff time came around, as he unleashed his full arsenal on inferior defenders who could only watch as he got buckets. Throughout his career, Tim Duncan was a driving force for numerous San Antonio Spurs runs to the NBA Finals and to eventual titles. Tim Duncan's playoff numbers remain consistent with his regular season productivity. His points per game jumped up by about a point, while the rest of his numbers stayed pretty much the same throughout. He achieved a career playoff high of 41 points on 15 for 24 shooting, a little less than his regular season career high. And his career high for both assists and turnovers in the playoffs remained the same as in the regular season. Let's see how KG compares. KG's offensive game was as fierce as ever, bruising opponents in the post featuring different drop steps, up and unders, or just going right over defenders for meme posters. He could face you up or he could back you down. It didn't matter, you weren't stopping it. He beat you and let you know about it every step of the way. He had a solid jump shot using the mid-range whenever available. His numbers rival his opponent Tim Duncan pretty well. Let's see. During his career, he was a load offensively, putting up 17.8 points per game while shooting just below 50% from the field. A much better free throw shooter than his opponent at almost 80% from the line. He also averaged one more assist than Tim Duncan. He put up a career high 47 points on 19 for 28 shooting. He had a career high 12 assists. He also committed a total of 9 turnovers for his career high. Playoff KG was just as deadly as his regular season self, always ready to up the ante for the benefit of his team. Great in fast break scenarios, always ready to run and catch lobs from teammates. His playoff numbers are elite, doing his part to never be outdone by opponents. Here's how KG's numbers elevated in the postseason. Entering the postseason, KG was able to elevate his scoring from 17.8 points per game to 18.2 points per game. He kept up his assist numbers, averaging 3.3 assists throughout, while keeping his turnovers low at 2.4 turnovers per game. Always efficient from the free throw line, shooting at about 80% in the playoffs, which is on par with his regular season. KG's career playoff high was much lower than that of his regular season, only reaching 35 points for his best performance. His career playoff high in assists is 11. I'm going to award this round to Tim Duncan, as his offensive game is both too dominant and too efficient to pass over. He was also more effective offensively throughout the playoffs. Time for round 3. I call him the ultimate team defender. Tim Duncan was always in the right place at the right time to help spoil opponents' search for easy buckets. With 8 all-defensive first-team selections, Tim Duncan was no slouch on the defensive side of the ball. Whether it was blocks or steals, Tim Duncan prided himself on not allowing opponents to dictate the offensive flow of the game. Understanding the importance of defense, his defensive stats reflect that sentiment. Excellent rebounder with 10.8 rebounds per game, with an explosive 27 rebounds for his career high, ensuring opponents didn't get any second chance opportunities. Averaging less than 1 steal per game, he had one spectacular night with 8 total steals. However, blocks is where he excelled. Time and time again, he shut down defenders with block after block, with a career 2.2 blocks per game, with a career high 9 blocks in a single outing. Tim Duncan continued to play a key role in the Spurs dynasty. Even into his older years, he maintained defensive stability, shutting down opposing teams' bigs for the duration of the series. His numbers throughout the playoffs matched his regular season and in some aspects exceeded his regular season production, jumping from 10.8 to 11.4 rebounds per game with a playoff high of 25 rebounds. He maintained his steals, although still pretty low, under a steal per game and a career best 4 steals. His blocks per game both in the regular season and in the playoffs at 2.2 blocks per game, with a career high 9 blocks in the playoffs. KG is and was a dominant force on the defensive side of the ball, the antithesis of intensity, putting fear into the hearts of opponents, truly a master in the art of intimidation. He was able to defend up to all 5 positions in his prime, and was able to use his ferocity to deny opponents access to the rim. Through both blocks and steals, he was as effective as they come on the defensive end. Kevin Garnett's defensive stats were comparable to that of Tim Duncan, recording 10 rebounds per game over the course of his career, with career highs of 25 rebounds, which included 23 defensive rebounds. He averaged 1.3 steals and 1.4 blocks during his career, with career highs of 7 steals and 8 blocks. Both KG's tenacity and tough trash talk provided a defensive edge to all the teams he played for, which resulted in 9 first-team all-defensive selections over the course of his career. and the ultimate prize for a defender, being named the 2008 Defensive Player of the Year, the same year he won his first and only NBA title. This brings us to his playoff stats, which included a slight raise in rebounds by about 1 rebound per game, which led to an explosive game where he recorded 22 rebounds, which included 20 defensive rebounds, ensuring the end of opponents' possessions. His playoff steal and block stats matched that of his regular season at 1.2 and 1.3 respectively. His playoff career high included 6 steals and 6 blocks. I'm going to award the third round to Kevin Garnett. Both his intensity and defensive prowess enabled him to surpass Tim Duncan in this round. Time to get technical in our advanced stats round. Even though most people don't like to look at advanced stats, they are a good way to indicate the effectiveness of players on the court. KG's plus minus during the regular season is a positive 5.2, meaning while he's on the court, his team outscored his opponent by 5.2 points, meaning his team often had the edge while he was playing. His on-off net plus minus is explained as, for example, if his team scores 100 points with him on the court and 88.7 with him off the court, then his on-off net plus minus is 11.3. His plus minus in the playoffs decreased to 2.5, while his on-off net plus minus is 14.5, meaning during the playoffs, his team faltered a lot more without him on the court. PER, or Player Efficiency Rating, takes into account everything the player does during his time on the court. With the league average being 15, KG reached a PER of 22.7 during the regular season and 21.1 during the playoffs, meaning while he is on the court, he contributed to almost everything that his team did, from defensive stops to free throws and field goal percentage. He was everywhere. Tim Duncan, on the other hand, is a killer in both PER and plus minus stats, with an on-court plus minus of positive 9.7 and an on-off net plus minus of positive 8. This means that while he is on the court, his team is typically up by double digits, ensuring his team comes out on top. His playoff plus minus falls off just slightly to a positive 6 on-court plus minus and a positive 7.5 on-off net plus minus. This makes sense because playoff games tend to be a lot closer in final score. This also makes sense since he usually had a better team behind him than KG, so his team was able to better maintain a positive output without him. His PER was a bit better than KG, meaning his overall effect on the game was much better than his opponent, putting in work on both ends of the floor, which equaled to a PER of 24.2 during the regular season, and he continued this output into the playoffs, reaching 24.3 during the playoffs. His effect on the game is undeniable. Tim Duncan knew how to contribute to the game in many different areas, whether it was scoring, assists, rebounds, steals, or blocks. He made sure he was noticed on the floor. Round 4 goes to Tim Duncan. His overall output and effectiveness on the court in the advanced stats metric puts him above his counterpart in this category. Time to finish up with the final round. Tim Duncan racked up numerous accolades over the course of his career. This included the 1997-98 Rookie of the Year honors and a spot on that year's All-Rookie team. He elevated his game over the next decade, becoming a 15-time NBA All-Star with 15 All-NBA selections. He achieved defensive glory with 15 total All-Defensive Team selections, proving his versatility on the court. He capped off the regular season with his one and only MVP campaign in 1999, just 2 years into his NBA career. He added to his dominance during his many playoff runs with the San Antonio Spurs with 5 NBA titles and 3 Finals MVP trophies, showing the world just how valuable he was. He ended his career with many accolades, but none more revered than his induction into the Hall of Fame in 2020 and his jersey being retired in 2016. KG2 had an illustrious career with many accolades for himself. He started off being named to the 1995-96 All-Rookie Second Team and just blossomed from there. He was crowned the 2003-2004 MVP and the 2002-2003 All-Star Game MVP. He attained 9 All-NBA selections and 15 All-Star Game selections. He was a defensive beast, which included 12 All-Defensive Team selections and the 2007-2008 Defensive Player of the Year award. He also collected 4 total rebound champ titles over the course of his career. Kevin Garnett was the first player in NBA history to win the NBA Player of the Month award 4 times in a single season, and the only player in the NBA to average at least 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists per game for 9 consecutive seasons. After his retirement, KG2 entered into the Hall of Fame with his longtime opponent Tim Duncan in the 2020 Hall of Fame induction. And our winner, after 5 intense rounds, goes to the big fundamental himself, Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan's overall ability and leadership propelled him to heights Kevin Garnett was never able to achieve, with 5 NBA titles. He put in the work needed to be great, and with a strong supporting cast by his side, the sky was the limit for Tim Duncan. I just want to thank you all for getting this far in the video. I hope you enjoyed it, as I have much more in store for the coming weeks, so stay tuned. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and also follow my Twitter at LSTD Productions for more updates on upcoming videos and other NBA content. Peace and love. Thanks.